Sorry, Kirk.
Don't we have to send in a budget by June 30th? Don't we have to submit a budget
Sure.
by June 30th? All right, so we don't have the ability to sit here for 3 months and think about this. We have to take action today. And, we're going to have to figure out a budget by June 30th. Second, we are fortunate that we still have our former chief financial officer on a consulting contract for 1 year, and I will suggest to you that you get her a little butt in there, excuse the expression, because I think you're going to need help on this, and she's the one that has designed most of this.
All right, listen.
Third, wait a minute. Third, you've got two fantastic religious schools or colleges in this town, Barry University and St. Thomas, and it seems to me that we could consider a joint venture with one or both of these to work out something, because it's like the hospitals. Everyone's got to have its complete program. And I agree with Tom, there's no way in the world that we want to get rid of religious studies, but there might be a way that we could joint venture this and make it work with one of the other universities in town. Thank you.
Just to say, I want to ask the President.
Based on what I've heard the board, what I've learned from religious studies folks, the interest of the Dalai Lama, I'd like to revise, our proposal to be the following. We propose that the board postpone until the next board meeting the closure of these programs, and in the interim, the provost and I, the vice president of advancement, the vice president of university relations, will work arduously to see if we could come up by that time. First, myself for the first couple of months, and then President Designate Rosenberg for the following month and a half or 2 months, with a plan to save one or more of these programs. So I'd like to modify our proposal to do that.
I think Trustee Alvarez has hit the nail on the head in terms of where the money might come from. We can backload some of that $17 million just in case there's additional cutting by the state legislature during the year. That's a prudent thing. But we can take a sliver of that and use it because each of these programs is in a strategic area. And I don't see why we'd have to go back and redo the operating budget. We would just put a footnote in saying, out of the $17 million, you can expend half only, no more than half, within the first 12 months of the whole year. In fact, you could do that. And of that money that you reserve to expend, you expended some of it as necessary to keep these 4 programs.
I understand the point of view, but I guess the point is the principle involved. There's a variety of sources of money can come from. Money raised, sliver strategic, other administration. There's lots of places. So the point is, I think what we should do. My recommendation, if somebody will move it, would be to approve the budget, but for these program closures. We can have a budget that we could submit on June 30th. I think with that, because it's 5% of the cuts, so we can do that. And come back and give us an alternative view of how we can maintain these programs. I think that's what's being asked.
Yeah, and in the meantime, we would of course not expend all the money. We would have more than ample money, as we head into the year, because we will not be spending all a lot of the strategic money to hire faculty. And as you know, Trustee Rutherford, takes a while to hire faculty, so it could be months and months before we hire those faculty. So that could be changed.
John, you're up here for
I just
some
want
reason.
to make a point of clarification for the board. When we develop these budgets, one of the problems is that program closures, and if there's a timetable and it doesn't impact the budget today, it impacts the budget in the future. So if you look at our 3-year budget plan for budget year 9-10, these closures don't impact the 9-10 budget. What they do is they set into place a process that allows the closure to take place in a timely manner. Enhance the budget the way that it's been recommending to you. It's not going to impact the budget that we've submitted to you.
We understand that. I want to move on. Okay, I think we've got a conclusion. Is there a motion to? The motion is to accept the budget as presented, the program closure as presented, except for the 4 programs we just talked about, which I can read if you'd like. And we're going to ask the administration to come back to us with a revised budget that finds money someplace not necessarily in a narrow sense, that still gets us to where we need to be from a fiscal responsibility standpoint.
Not necessarily closures.
Not necessarily close these programs, exactly. I think that's what's the direction of it, it's not to close these programs.
I think that has to be in
Right.
the resolution. I second that motion. We're not closing them.
We're not closing these programs, we're not foregoing it, but we're not closing the programs, is the point.
All right, I second it.
There's a second. All in favor? Oh, second, any more discussion?
Mr. Chair, I think there's a way out of here. Authorize the operating budget, or the strategic budget at $16 million.
No, I don't want to, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I want to have the administration look at the entire economic program, including the strategic part, and come back with a recommendation. I think that gives more latitude in terms of where the money comes from. But if board members, you don't agree with me, speak up. I mean,
I call a question.
motion's been called. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, it passes. Okay, that's been a lot of excitement.